Oh, you're all very keen today. We've not even started the video. We have now, but we were just warming up there, and there was comments flying in, guys. They're keen for some reason. Did I miss something? Did something happen over the weekend? What would you get up to, guys?
Watched a lot of football. That's what I did. To watch plenty of leagues. Watched the Premier League. Watched the Masters, which is golf, obviously. A couple of good results as well in the Scottish Premiership too that we'll discuss. Good result on Saturday and then a very good result yesterday at Dingwall. So happy days.
Enjoyable
happy
stuff,
Monday,
Tony.
Hamish. It's a happy Monday, isn't it? So I think that's why everybody's in the comment section. They're all eager to chat about the events of the weekend. So I think lots of smiles on faces. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Henrik McLarson, best night's sleep I've had in ages. Can't think why. Not sure. Right, we might get into it. We're thrilled to have Weissman, a global leader in the boiler industry, sponsor our podcast. And to make things even more exciting, they've teamed up with Scotland's very own award-winning installation team. That's MPH Boilers, which makes this a match made in heaven. Weissman's boilers are engineered to deliver not just warmth, but unparalleled efficiency and reliability. We're talking about cutting-edge technology that saves you money on energy bills, and it also reduces emissions. And when they're teamed up with MPH Boilers, you know you're getting service from the best in the business. Most importantly, a local team. When you choose a Weissman boiler that's installed by MPH, you'll also get a free internet controller, and they're offering the first year's service for free. So this is your big chance, everyone, to get world-class engineering with local expert service. Weissman and MPH Boilers is a match made in heaven. And we still get this running, guys.
Certainly do. 6 months of access for £1. You can get also a Kygos Furuhashi print from renowned football artist made by Frankie. Obviously, Kygos scored at the weekend, so now's the perfect time to get a print of the striker. Looks as if he's back on form. Back with another bullet header for Celtic, which is absolutely brilliant to see. On there, we'll have quite a few things this afternoon. Both of us were off yesterday, so there's been a bit of a dry spell on the website, but we'll endeavour to bring you a couple of pieces of content this morning and afternoon. So www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, and get involved. Thanks to everybody that's done so far, and get involved.
3 of Kyogo's last 4 goals have been headers, guys. Pretty emphatic headers as well. He scored 1 header all of last season out of, I think, 34 goals. Is that a trend you're both aware of and keeping an eye on, that Kyogo headers have become a thing?
I think it's because of delivery. On you go, Ryan.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to take your point, because I was going to say roughly the same thing, Tony. What you were saying there about the deliveries. The deliveries have improved, and that's the reason why he's getting on the end of these crosses. Alistair Johnston, that is one of the balls of the season from him. I know the wind might catch it ever so slightly, just given the conditions, but it's a perfectly weighted cross for him. And Kyogo doesn't really need to do anything, although his movement into getting into that position is just trademark Kyogo. That's the Kyogo we all know and love. That he just darts in between. Who is it? Marcus Fraser that's marking him. He just can't mark him whatsoever. He's trying to, not doing a very good job. But it's not his fault. It's just Kyogo being that sharp, and a great header gave the goalkeeper absolutely no chance in the St Mirren goals. So I think even though the Hati goal was a bit of individual brilliance, I think my favourite goal out of the 3 was the second goal, just due to the work that was getting done down that side, the cross, and then the header from Kyogo. That's much more like it from Celtic. That's what I've wanted to see for large parts of this season. It looked cohesive for large parts on Saturday, and that was a big difference. And that was key for Celtic getting the 3 points, especially in that second half when they'd gone in at half time, nothing each, and they could have panicked, but they didn't. And they really made it quite comfortable in the end, in the opening 10-15 minutes.
Kyogo, Tony, he's, as I say, headers become a big part of his game, and the deliveries have been brilliant. Like Ralston was one, Kuhn was another, and then Johnson at the weekend.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what happens. If I said it before, and I said it in the instant analysis, you feed Kyogo, he will score. It's the movement that makes it, because he darts forward, comes back, and then darts in again. But the cross is just bang on the money. And he can't really miss. All he has to do is get the connection, and he does that emphatically. But I was talking to you off air, and I think a few comments are coming in as well, and he's got to temper that enthusiasm. Celtic keep the head, they win the title. Just got to keep their feet in the ground. They're 4 wins away from it. People are doing the maths if they beat Rangers, of course. But, it is now that old cliche, isn't it? 1 game at a time. Semi-final next weekend was obviously that. But, plenty of time to focus on the league after that. But, we just knocked them off like Skittles now. But it was a great boost for Celtic's title-winning chances yesterday. Rangers dropping points, but I just don't think the manager will allow them to get complacent. I think anything's done and won. It was always going to come down. We always think it's going to come down to the last Celtic Rangers game of the season at Celtic Park. And assuming that Rangers beat Dundee on Wednesday, then it will be 1 point. So just kind of realism, just tempering all that enthusiasm with a bit of realism as well, Hamish. Just don't get too carried away, because there's still lots of football to be played and a big, massive job to be done, but they're in a good position now. It's certainly advantaged Celtic in a position that, they would have taken after the close of play yesterday.
Yeah, as you say, it's certainly the kind of overwhelming feeling that I'm getting from the comments. People have maybe enjoyed their Sunday after that result, and I think like us three, everyone's kind of back on it, and is aware of the bigger picture here. And if Rangers win in midweek, which they'll still be favourites for that game against Dundee, as you say, it's down to a point, so we're still like very much in a title race that's in the balance, and we've still got a derby to go. I think Mantis Toboggan putting it quite well. Nothing has really changed for Celtic. It's still win every game, but yesterday changes things for Rangers. They need to win at Celtic Park now, or hope Celtic slip up elsewhere. That's it in black and white at the end. They need to win at Celtic Park now, or hope Celtic slip up elsewhere. So it's still in their hands, but basically they're in the position we were at the start of the weekend, knowing they need to win the last derby. The difference being that we had a home derby, they've got an away one at Celtic Park. I think that's really important. For me, it's like our position has changed slightly, and I've just outlined why. Assuming we win the other games, a draw in the derby would be good enough now for us to win the league. That's the situation changing. I think the focus and the goals of the team should and will be the same. Win every game. I don't think we're the kind of team and management that are going to suddenly be looking at that and going, when it comes to the game, a draw is fine here. We're still going to be going to win that game. The other point I'd make, guys, is that recent weeks have told us that there's going to be more slip-ups here, and Celtic may drop points to other teams. Motherwell won at Ibrox recently. Hearts have beaten us. Kelly drew at Celtic Park a few weeks ago. Yesterday, obviously, like the other teams are getting joy against Celtic and Rangers this season, Ryan.
Yeah, you even look at the league table and the way the top 6 and the bottom 6 are. It's a crazy table, and it's down to freak results that have happened throughout the season that have managed to stabilise themselves and become the norm almost. Look at Aberdeen. Aberdeen are flirting with relegation. Hibs didn't make the top 6. You've got teams like St Mirren, Kilmarnock that are making the top 6. It's a topsy-turvy season. Any consistency from now until the end of the season will result in a league victory for Celtic or Rangers. Rangers aren't in good form at the moment, and it's not nearly getting spoke about enough. 2 wins in 7, I believe it is, and their only 2 wins have been against Hibs. So there's every reason that they might drop points again at Dundee, given the fact that it's not, and no disrespect to Hibs, but Hibs are the only team that they've actually been winning against in the past wee while. Not to say the wheels have fallen off, but I think there's an element of doubt that's came into the Rangers supporters' heads and Philippe Clement's heads about this team that they've got. And Celtic have stabilised. There has been a sort of, not a changing of the guard, but I think a change in mentality, that shift. We seen the celebrations last week when Rangers got a free each draw, as if they might have got away with one because Celtic were in control for large parts of that game, or large parts of the first half anyway. It's all came to roost now with that result yesterday, and that coupled with the fact that Celtic, won convincingly on Saturday. Something's changed, that the fact that Carter Vickers and Hati strutting their stuff on Saturday. They're back. Cal McGregor's coming back into the team. It just seems as if there's positive after positive coming through for Celtic at the moment. The momentum is shifted, I think, completely. And there's pressure on Rangers going into Wednesday. But, there's slip-ups. There can still be slip-ups. I think there still will be a couple of slip-ups. Where they will be is going to be interesting. But it's been that sort of season. Any sort of consistency for Celtic and they'll win this league. They just need to keep calm and do what they should have been doing the whole season, which is winning games at a regular rate. If they can do that, then they'll win the league and they'll win the double.
We spoke off here, didn't we, Hamish, before coming on? And I said to you, the last comment that the manager made in his interview was, "This is when Celtic comes alive." And I jokingly said to you, the ... and that was basically what was not said. He was doing this to Rangers. Whoa, you have to go to Dingwall. We've got the points on the board. That's what he never said, right? And I just thought it was a brilliant way to end the interview. Just sort of, back over the net, ball back over the net, back in your court. And any time when you go to the Highlands, you're always expecting a tricky game. So I thought he did that well. And that's why I keep saying, and I've been saying it for a few weeks now, the one thing Celtic have in their favour is the coolest and calmest manager in football, Scottish football certainly. He just doesn't lose the rag. He's bit a couple of times this season. You saw a side to him that, you haven't seen before, but he's always kept his dignity, he's always kept his class and his composure. And he did it again on Saturday.
Ran up the tunnel or anything like that after a defeat, has he? And not shook the other manager's hand?
Yeah, but I think he did it eventually on the BBC, didn't he? You saw it last night in the highlight sports and he came out and he managed to, I think it was pointed out to Clement and he did address that or readdress that. Probably shouldn't have needed to and shouldn't have been reminded, but he did it. So, but I thought that was, yeah. So, and that's what I love about my manager, because that transmits to the players. And you saw that on Saturday after 0-0, there was some kind of murmurings of discontent, but the players didn't panic. They came out the second half and he's probably said to them, right, put that in the bin. Conditions might have had a lot to do with the game as well, but they came out the second half and they were professional and they did the job. So that's a manager saying to them, listen, calm down, do what you're good at, use the conditions to your advantage this half, and you'll be okay. And so I bang on about it a lot, but that's why I talk about the manager being elite in these things, the things he says, the things he does, and also getting results when it matters. And I really liked that from the manager on Saturday. And Celtic controlled the controllables. They went 4 points ahead. It was back over the net to Rangers to try and bring it down to 1. They couldn't do that yesterday. They've got another chance on Wednesday to do it, and Celtic can still just sit back and see what events unfold. There's still 4 points to the good at this minute in time.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point you make. Say what you want about Brendan Rodgers, and a lot has been said this season, and some of it, the criticism I think has been fair. The guy is strong under pressure, and he's really putting off a kind of a strong and confident demeanour at the moment. In comparison, I think to what's happening across the city, I think he's really coming into his own at the moment. I think it's notable that since we come back from the international break, 2 of the 3 matches, taking the derby out of it, have both been goalless at half time. Both in a nervy title race have been goalless at half time. We've gone on to win both games 3-0 in the second half, getting early goals in the second half, with Hati involved in both. So I think that's very noticeable, that the team, I think, are pretty calm at the moment. Everything we've heard from coming out of Lennoxtown, and you guys probably hear more than me, is that things are calm, everyone's motivated, they know the task in hand, but they're not flustered. And again, I think, as the pressure's cranked up, Ryan, I said it last night, one team in Glasgow excels, another crumbles, and we saw evidence of that at the weekend.
Celtic have got the track record of managing to clinch these titles when the pressure is on. Just look at look at history over the past 10 or so years, I know they've not been in that many title races, or some title races have been discounted because they didn't go as far as what people would have expected them to. And just first season was still close, and they managed to get through that with flying colours. I think it was 2 games before the end they managed to clinch that title. So there was a title race. I wouldn't be discarding Ange's achievements for sure. I just think that there's been they look confident again. They were strutting their stuff in the second half. Yes, they took a while to figure out St Mirren on Saturday, but they did it. They didn't panic at all. They took it away from St Mirren as much as St Mirren would have been delighted going into half time. Right, we've kept Celtic quiet. They didn't do too much. Still had another 45 minutes to go, and Celtic have the match winners on the park. They also have match winners on the bench as well that are looking to get on. There's that hunger from those players that are on the bench that are waiting to come on and make an impact. Brendan Rodgers now has food for thought. He's in an unideal situation. He'd be playing McGregor through these games in order to get results. He's been allowed, due to the brilliance of other players, Rio Hati, Matt O'Reilly, I would say especially, although Tomoki Wata's been solid enough. I thought he was solid again, even though he was quite quiet on Saturday. But he's allowing Cal McGregor, the captain, arguably Celtic's most important player, to be eased back into things. It's absolutely brilliant having these 7-day spells between this game and the next game, because you're going to see a better Callum McGregor as a result of this. You could get to the point where he's got maybe a 4 or 5 game run in this season that could be historic, because it could lead Celtic to a league and cup double if he can play the best football. Heading into the Euros, he'll be up for that as well. He's got plenty to play for to get back into the swing of things. I'm looking forward to seeing Callum McGregor back in the starting lineup. I was happy to see him come on for 20 minutes, but Celtic now have options in near enough every position, which is absolutely brilliant to see. And Brendan Rodgers, as Tony's been saying, he's been a composed man throughout the season. He's not allowed himself to lose the rag, albeit he did get a bit annoyed with that penalty decision at Tynecastle. Maybe that's the only time that he allowed things to get the better of him ever so slightly. But he's been composed this season. He's been talking about it in press conferences. He's been calm. He's kind of called out the media for their sort of narrative on Celtic being the team in crisis and the team that are going up and down, when in reality it's been both teams this season. He'll be loving this. This is his domain, this sort of thing, and he'll be so keen to get it finished and over the line, because I think if he does manage to get the 2 trophies that are remaining, I think this will be perhaps even sweeter than some of the trebles that he won the first time around, if he does go that far.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he would say if he's asked that at the end of the season, if we do manage. For me, it's just a case, game at a time. We're kind of where we were before. Keep the pressure up, because I'm telling you, I've said it all along, if you keep the pressure up on that mob across the city, more cracks will show, and they showed yesterday. I think it's going to be very interesting them in midweek, Tony. But we can just that game already has gone from them, having an opportunity to go top of the league to now one they have to win.
So
really,
must
we can
win.
just sit back and watch it.
And that's pressure. See, when it becomes a must win, if they lose that, then the title destiny's right out their hands. Celtic could still afford to drop 3 points. Obviously, you don't want them to, but if the worst case scenario came and Rangers did come to Celtic Park, when Celtic would still be top of the league. So, from a week ago, when Celtic were heading to Ibrox to supposedly go behind and then Rangers go further in front, football can spin like that. 90 minutes, all it takes is to spin on its axis. So, yeah, but as I say, you just focus on the job at hand. Am I glad that Celtic have got the Scottish Cup semi-final this weekend? I am a wee bit, actually, because I think you can take the narrative and focus off any kind of pressure cooker that you're in at the minute, and then go and try and get yourself into the end of showpiece game at the end of the season, and then put your focus firmly back on the title race. And I think it's a neat diversion, and it's coming at a good time, because you want to just focus and breathe as well. And I just think that Celtic have got the bit between your teeth for both competitions now. And you look at Hati on Saturday, Scores an absolute brilliant goal. Great first touch, great finish. He's inches away from bending one into the bottom corner at Ibrox. And Hati will be annoyed with himself that he never scored that goal. I think Ryan and yourself, we spoke about it during the week. A fit Hati buries that. I know it's from like 20 yards out or 18 yards out, but he scores that. He did it on Saturday. That's him getting fitter and fitter and better and stronger. And, Celtic are reaping the benefit. And my goodness, they've missed him. But what a goal just to kind of ease the nerves.
Yeah.
It was a collective sigh of relief, wasn't it, when that goal in, because you knew Celtic were going to go on and win the game after that. But the manager himself said the first goal in these games are important, so you can't afford to get nervous, and that's when the fans play their part as well. So yeah, I was pleased with a lot on Saturday. My dogs are going mental. Sorry about that. I think the dog walkers turned up, but I tell them not to come between 10 and half 10, but on deaf ears, I'll fix that off just now.
That's all right. Poor Tony silenced by his dogs.
Any excuse for me to sort of talk about Hati for half a minute to a minute, I'll absolutely take. There was a point after that goal, and I think it's been picked up in the coverage, when he's just telling the fans to up the atmosphere, up the tempo, up the noise. He's back. There was a point that point there. He was showing wee bits before his goal that he looked as if he was playing with the handbrake off, because I think he was playing with the handbrake on in the first half. He's playing within himself, not taking the risks that I would want him to be taking, playing too safe. It's almost as if he got the license to go forward and make things happen. And when he did get that goal, there was that collective sigh of relief. Hati looked relieved as well, as if, right, everything will just come naturally now. I just loved that moment with the supporters after the goal, in which he's just geeing them up, telling them, let's raise the decibels ever so slightly. I think he likes his name getting screamed out by the announcer as well. He seems to get a big buzz off of the fans screaming his name back. So yeah, absolutely delighted to see him. Big smile on his face after he scored as well. And I thought he had a steady performance. He only really played for that 20 minutes from the 45th minute to about the 65th minute where he gets taken off. But 20 minutes is enough to win games single-handedly for Hati, you would say, although he had some help in other areas from other players too.
Lots of people would probably say 20 minutes is enough of us on a Monday morning, but we're staying on for much longer because we've still got stuff to chat about. That goal from Hati was just brilliant, and for two reasons. One is it's the outside of the boot, and the other is that the ball's actually in the air when he takes it. It's not on the ground when he actually hits it. It's almost like a half volley. And see, like, anyone who's even played the game to any sort of half decent level will know how difficult a skill that is, to keep a ball that's rising down with the outside of your foot. I just thought it, and have power in it. That was the thing. It had power in it as well. I just thought it was a stunning finish and a major moment.
It was absolutely brilliant. The execution's sensational. It really is. You could take any seasoned striker in the world and ask them to do that, and a lot of them would struggle. He was just in control, but from the moment that the ball was coming in, he knew exactly what he was doing. And my goodness, he picked his spot, didn't he? And it's a class finish. Like Ida's goal at Ibrox, it's probably not talked about enough because of everything else that's happened over the weekend. But it's one of my favourite goals this season. I just think it's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's just an individual piece of brilliance, and it's the game changing goal. Celtic are going to go on and win the game after that. And as I say, it's 60,000 people inside the ground just go, right, let's do it, let's turn on the style, and they did. And this is a guy he's not even anywhere near 100% fit. He's functioning on, the manager says, like 75-80% fitness, because he's good enough to do that. But in every game he's played since he came back, Livingston, Rangers, and St Mirren, he's left an indelible mark, hasn't he? So wait till he gets back to 100% fitness. He'll be some player. You know what I mean? That's simply just when he's not fit. We already know he's some player, but you're just thinking and looking, saying he has got better. He will get better. And a class goal. It's up there. It has to be up there in your top 3 Celtic goals this season. It has to be, because it's a brilliant finish.
Yeah, it won't win goal of the season. I think Kyogo's goal against Rangers at Celtic Park probably will have that tied up, but it should definitely be in the conversation for me. The technique for that goal was immense. The comment I just get in there from Bobby, just wondering about left wing at Hampden. Now, the one thing I would say about Saturday, two things. The first half performance I thought was pretty poor. Made up for it in the second half, fine. I don't think the wingers were great. Certainly the wingers that started the match, and certainly Yang, I thought really struggled again. That's all I'm going to say about that. My big call right now is that to fill, and Ryan's going to hate this, but to fill the left wing position while Daizen Maida's away, I think James Forrest might be, for me, who I would turn to. I think he has more to offer at the moment than Palma and Yang, and I think Forrest has looked really good recently. Off the bench, I'll admit that, but I think he's far more proven than Yang or Palma, to be honest.
I think in some ways you've got to take the hit if that's the case, and you're not going to get the same sort of athleticism. I know previously in his career, James Forrest was the very definition of athleticism. He could run for the majority of games. He doesn't exactly have that anymore, but he's safe on the ball, and that could be the difference in these games, especially in a cup tie game, a knockout game. You want someone to be comfortable on the ball and take it and be able to even pass it back when the position isn't there. I don't have that same trust in at the moment with Yang. The past couple of games have taken a real hit. I think he's sort of viewing and amongst the Celtic support and people that are watching Celtic. The Rangers cameo was really poor, and he had a chance to sort of right the wrongs, and he didn't have a good game at all against St Mirren. I would go as far to say he was pretty dismal. Just a couple of really, really poor moments, poor decision making, missing the ball completely. I think a loan deal might be the ideal thing for him in the summer. There's definitely talent there, but I think he needs to be in a team where he's playing absolutely every single game, and it doesn't matter if he's having poor performances or good performances. He stays in the team and gets that fitness and gets that first team experience. I mean, Alan Morrison might put out a post or a story last week on the Celtic Way saying sometimes he can be absolutely brilliant and other times he can resemble a teenager on the ball, and that you can't really have that at this point in the season. There needs to be some sort of consistency. So if there's consistency with Forrest, then I've got no problems with him starting, especially at Hampden, a place where he's got history. Even against Aberdeen, he's got history. He's played there before. I believe he scored in the League Cup final, the game in which Rodgers won his first trophy.
An absolute screamer in a Scottish Cup semi-final as well with left foot.
He's a Hampden specialist. Let's be honest, James Forrest. I've got no specialist. So it's, to me, that's a no-brainer, because you're not going to tune out a Yang at all. Kuhn's blown hot and cold, and Palma has to do a lot more for me in order to start games. So yeah, I have no qualms about James Forrest, and he would do the job. He knows exactly that terrain. He scored in semi-finals, he scored in finals, and knows Hampden like the back of his hand. So yeah, I'm on board with that suggestion as well, because he is a Hampden specialist. So yeah, just put him in and say, there you go, have a wee swan song there, my good friend James. Keep that good record up.
And I do agree with you, Hamish. He has looked bright when he's came on the past couple of games as well. Took a while to get his first touch sorted. There was a moment in that game, in that St Mirren game, where I was like, where are you going? Because in the centre of the field, I was like, where is his touch going here? But he should have scored at the end. That curling shot was very, very unlucky not to score. I thought he looked positive when he came on, which is great to see. He's a Celtic great. The numbers speak for themselves. Good that he can still make an impact. And yeah, if he's called upon, I don't imagine he'll let the team down.
So that's a big one. Maida's going to be a huge miss between now and the end of the season.
Of course.
I think that's probably the real bad news from the weekend. That he's probably not going to feature for the rest of the season. We even had a sixth sub on Saturday, guys, and nobody got worried about that at all, did they? Everyone was totally calm and not talking about points deductions or anything like that. It turns out that Celtic actually knew the rules and I mean,
Funny
I
that.
doubt the fourth official would allow them to actually make a 6 sub anyway. Surely they would step in and go, by the
That's
way,
what I
guys,
was
you know
saying.
you've already made 5. So we
Yeah.
sorted that one. Post-split fixtures reports in the last hour that the SPFL are going to wait until after Dundee versus Rangers on Wednesday night to announce them. I assume this is to probably guard against any possibility of ourselves being able to beat them to win the league at Celtic Park. I believe that if they were to lose at Dundee and then lose their next game and then we win our next game, we would have the chance to beat them at Celtic Park to win the league. I doubt that would happen anyway, but it seems like the SPFL are just going to wait until all the results are in before announcing them. So probably Thursday, guys, we'll maybe get the split fixtures at that stage. I was looking at it today. I'm pretty sure we're going to have Rangers, Hearts and Dundee at Celtic Park, and we're going to go to St Mirren and Kelly. Pretty sure that's what will happen, but we'll wait and see. Any thoughts on that?
Play who you play. Doesn't bother me
That's
at all. Lots of people getting worried about Rugby Park. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's just a team going for the title. You know, the chips fall where they may. You get on with the job at hand, and I think that's what the manager will be stressing to the players.
I think it's important to remember that Nat Phillips won't be playing at Rugby Park the next time we'll be there as well, because he single-handedly had an absolute disaster the last time he was at Rugby Park. The only time he was at Rugby Park, he'll be Cameron Carter-Vickers out with Barden injury. So, you know, you'll have your captain, you'll have Cameron Carter-Vickers, you'll have Rio Hati. That's a lot. That challenge seems a lot more doable with those players than without them. If Celtic can keep them all fit, then I'm not worried for any game, to be honest, because these players have got experience of winning titles before, and you'd expect them to drag the players that haven't won a title before into that with them and into that winning mentality. They'll be the difference between now and the end of the season. It's time for the leaders to stand up.
What do you reckon the mood is this morning, Tony, and the squad after that result yesterday?
Celtic will be buoyant. They'll be, but like everything else, I think they'll just be like feet in the ground and just focusing on their own job. Yeah, I mean, they're human after all, aren't they? So they'll be delighted to see that their rivals have dropped points. Now they just do what the manager's been saying all along. They'll control the narrative and pen their own story. They'll get the chance over the next 4 games to pen that story and pen that silver lining that they've been working towards and goal that they've been working towards all along this season. So, yeah, I think it'll be pretty much business as usual today. They'll get into training and just not change anything, not do anything different. Just approach everything the way they've been approaching it all season and just let their football do the talking now on the park during games, and I think that's the best way to be. Before we go, I wanted to mention 2 things. I've seen a few comments as well, but I was going to bring it up. Alison McGough, the Celtic supporter that tragically passed away. I think everybody in the Celtic way and Celtic family offers condolences to her loved ones and her family, and really, really sad. By all accounts, a very popular Celtic supporter and member and political activist. So I think we take this time to say sad condolences to Alison McGough's family, and yeah, she'll never walk alone. And on that note, it's also the 35th anniversary of Hillsborough, and justice for the 97 campaigners go on. But always remember, we can never forget those who did what we did and have done in many years and gone and attended a football match and never came home. And for those who are interested, I've spoken about that at length on a previous podcast that I did in the Celtic State of Mind. And if you're overwhelmed to listen to the first 5 minutes during that one, then yeah, it's I've said before on record, it's the most emotional I've ever got on a podcast. I don't think I'll top it. I don't think I ever want to top it when I speak about Hillsborough and Kenny Dalglish and just my thoughts in general. So yeah, rest in peace, Alison, and as always, just keep the 97 in your thoughts, because there, but for the grace of God, go I and we and every football fan out there.
Yeah, very well said, Tony. Ryan, did you want to?
Yeah, can I do my own shout out and not to maybe on a more positive note, but Jeremy Frimpong, former Celtic player, won the league with Bayer Leverkusen yesterday. I don't know if you've seen any of his interviews or his Instagram lives after the game, but it was absolutely tremendous. Celtic fans have got a history with knowing what Jeremy Frimpong is like, both on Instagram lives and in post-match interviews. I thought it was absolutely tremendous. And he has been for all across this season. So I just wanted to sort of congratulate him, because it's a massive achievement winning the league with Bayer Leverkusen under Xabi Alonso. It's the first time in 11 years that Bayern Munich haven't won the Bundesliga. So yeah, it's great to see former players do really well, and shows that move back in 2020 was absolutely vindicated, because he's managed to pick up a league title with Bayer Leverkusen, and he'll be playing in the Champions League next season. Regardless, I think, because he'll either move to bigger, maybe not better things, bigger things, or he'll play in the Champions League with Leverkusen. So I just wanted to shout that out, because I think he was a good servant for Celtic, a really good player on his day, and delighted to see him do well. And he's not his new club, but his newer club from Celtic.
Yeah, fabulous. Great weekend for him. I'll do my own shout out just finally. 6 months of access for £1 for the Celtic way, and you get a free Kygos for a Hashi print from a renowned football artist made by Frankie. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Tony, Ryan, thank you for your time once again. Back this time tomorrow. Speak to you then.